Can you talk a little bit about the ACC, what you know about it this spring, and stability, maybe compared to other conferences too that you played in, what you know so far anyway?
Well, first, we're really excited to be in the ACC, and it's a great challenge for us, something we certainly look forward to. I think it's going to be very competitive, and when you look back on last year and you realize that you're going in to play in a conference that has the national championship team and individual players that won just about every single individual award there is out there, you know that it's going to be a very competitive conference. And the division that we in reminds me a lot when we're in the SEC West, that you have the defending national champion, but you also have every team in it that's capable of beating the other team on any given week. So I see it as you have to truly play one game at a time. You got to understand that each team we play is going to have great players and be very well coached. And most games are going to be won or lost in the fourth quarter. So we're going to try to do a great job of making sure our guys are in very good condition, that we continue to build strength as the year goes on, and that we continue to build depth, because you're going to have to rotate guys and be fresh and ready to play at a real high level when the pressure's on in the fourth quarter.
How equipped is the program to kind of be a year in and year out player?
I think we're in really good shape. Obviously we lost a lot of good players, 3 guys that went in the first round off of Charlie's team, but there's a lot of good players coming back. He did a nice job in their recruiting. Got a strong senior class coming back, and when you look at defense-wise, I think our front 7 will be very good. We have the size and strength and agility and ability you need to play good defense with the front 7. We've got some really good cover guys coming back in Charles Gaines, and guys that have experience back there in the secondary. We did lose 2 really good safeties. One the first-round draft pick, and I believe they played 33 straight games together. So our inexperience at the safety position is something that's certainly a concern. Offensively, we're going to have a new quarterback. We don't have Teddy anymore. We're never going to replace a guy like Teddy. He was a great player, a great personality, and a tremendous leader. But the new guy coming in is going to have some good weapons around him. It's a great setup for a new quarterback to come in, because you got experienced receivers, you got 3 starting senior offensive linemen coming back, a good tight end, and a good group of running backs behind you. So if you wanted to be a new quarterback in an offense, that's what you would want, experience at those positions. So we just have to make sure that all 10 guys around him play real well.
But in terms of getting it done, not just this year, but looking beyond this year, in terms of being a perennial kind of winner, do you feel like Louisville has what it's, since you've been back, Louisville has what it needs in terms of facilities and budgets and commitment and that kind of thing to kind of be amazed?
Oh, no question about it. I think that when you look back on a couple years ago, when University of Louisville won a BCS bowl game, basketball team won a national championship, the women's basketball team went to the Final Four, the baseball team went to the College World Series. It shows there's been a great commitment by our administration and by Tom Jurich and all sports competing at a national level.
Bobby, you've had a lot of great wide receivers. Where does Devontae Parker fit in?
Yeah, I think he's really special. He's got the combination of size and strength. He can really control his body and make different catches in the air. But the thing that excites me as much as anything is his ability to run after the catch. He can catch a 6-yard route, 5-yard route, and accelerate and get to top speed very quickly. I think he's a special talent.
What kind of, obviously you're known as an offensive-minded guy, what kind of scheme do you kind of marry to, not just a new quarterback, but good pieces like Parker that you have around him?
Well, we've always had this big playbook that we have, and we install it 3 times. So first 7 days of spring ball, we install and throw it all at them. Then we come back the 8th practice and we redo it again. You start over on number 1 installation. Now we're going to do it again here in August. Then I think it's up to us as coaches to take the parts of that playbook and fit them to our personnel, to what the quarterback can do, to what our receiving group can do, what our offensive linemen can do, and mold the offense around those players. So some years the offense looks different than other years. Like example, we had Stephon LaFleur. He's a guy that could really run and was great play action and movement guy, and so that was the emphasis of the offense. And Brian Brom came in the next year, and they actually rotated in, and Brian was a drop back passer. So we had the combination of the two working together, and that was Brian's emphasis, and Stephon was still the movement guy. So you're always going to have some different pieces, and I believe it's up to the core coaches to mold the offense around those guys.
What are Will Gardner's strengths?
He's a very good pocket passer, really good in the quick passing game. His timing is really good. He throws the deep ball really well, and if we can get his footwork better, his accuracy will keep getting better. It improved a lot in spring. Sometimes he's offline. He doesn't step in the right direction. But he does have the ability to make all the throws. He surprised us all on testing day when we tested in the 40s, where he ran a 4.58. So he ran under 4.6, which, I didn't know he would be able to do that. So he does have good speed and athleticism. He's had some injury history, so that's probably the thing that scares you the most.
Could you guys open up the season against Miami, one of the few teams in this conference that your players have familiarity with from the bowl game? Does that help your team? Does that hurt your team? How do you approach that?
Yeah, we have to just understand that it's a completely new game. We're a different team. They're a different team. We don't get any points to carry over from last year's bowl game. So it's really up to us to go out and prepare extremely hard for it and then go out and perform. It's nice to have it at home. And I do like playing it on Monday night and national TV, and I think it'll be an exciting game for us. I really like playing our opening game, something that means something. I think it helps us in the off season in all our practice and preparation and weightlifting and running.
After being at Western last year, you kind of tickled to be back on the big stage, so to speak, and be back in a big conference and get to kind of show, get to measure yourself and test yourself against the.
I am. I had a great experience at Western. We had a team that improved and got better as the year went on and finished really strong. And I was very grateful to Todd Stewart and Dr. Ranzel. But they knew that if I had a chance to go to Louisville, that was something that I would want to do. So it worked out great.
Is that something you discussed with them prior to taking that job? That if Louisville ever came up?
No, not prior to him taking the job, but Todd and I had a really good relationship, and he talked about how many years you're going to be able to stay here and what would you be able to do. And when the rumors came up about Charlie, I called and talked to Todd and said, now, if this opportunity does come up, this would be one job I would be interested in pursuing. And he said, yeah, I know that. And, he knew that. That was one of the, when we decided as a family to go to Western Kentucky, one of the reasons we went there was to get back closer to Louisville. I have a daughter and a son going to school at the University of Louisville, and that's where our kids consider home to be.
People, Louisville's coming into the conference, and there's a huge curiosity factor, but there's a big curiosity factor about you, too. You've never been associated with this conference, and you come with some news. You've had an eventful few years. What would you tell people about yourself?
Well, I'm just going to approach the game to try to do the best I can in helping young men on and off the field. I think one of the key things that you do as a football coach is you teach players how to excel and how to get, self-confidence. And then one of the things that I'm going to work hard on is coaching the person as much as the player. So I think that the experiences I've had that I can help young men with the obstacles that they're going to be presented with off the field and the situations that are going to come up. And be able to help them and give them second chances.
You say you're going to work hard on that, though. Is that something you felt like you didn't do a good enough job of in the
It's something I wonder about, whether I paid that much attention to it. But certainly now I understand that that's a big part of what I'm going to do.
Does this feel like a new job or a job that has nearly 10 years?
It feels very similar. There's a lot of familiarity with it. And like, for example, we just had our fantasy camp here the last couple of days, and I knew just about every guy there. They'd been there before. We had a great time. It felt like, this is something we've done before. So there's a lot of familiarity with it. It's really an exciting time for our fan base and our football fans in particular. I think because the basketball team has always been able to bring some of the best teams in the country into play. Freedom Hall and the Yum Center, and our football fans have always wanted to see that. They've always dying to see the games that we can have at Papa John's. And now we're able to do that. When you see the schedule we have for all the great teams coming into Papa John's and the venues we get to travel to, it's a pretty exciting time for us.
Is there a sense this first year back of, I want to show my new bosses, that this administration, that I can be a good employee, a good person, whatever you fill in the blanks there, or is there a sense of, no, I was, that I did that last year, but and this is just nothing to prove anymore, just back to old.
Well, I need to prove to myself and everybody else on a daily basis that this is the right decision.
You mentioned how good Louisville is at so many sports. What have you kind of gathered from since you've been back about, how do you explain that? I mean, how do you, what do you know about, what do you learn about Louisville that kind of explains this new ACC member being so good across the board?
Well, I think it's just a tribute to the commitment by our administration. We have a great president, Dr. Ramsey, and we've not only improved all our athletic facilities, but the campus is completely different. The new library, the new SAC building, the business department, where our players live. So it's amazing what he's been able to build in that. And then, the commitment Tom Jurich has made to all the sports. And Tom's always believes that everybody should have the best. And that gives you an opportunity to compete at the highest level.
Is there a sense within among the coaches and among the athletic department, does that rub off on each other where, when you see others programs doing well, that kind of just a sense of, everyone, this can be done at Louisville, that guy's doing it, and that guy's doing it, she's doing it.
Certainly, yeah. We kind of play off each other and build off of it. And when you come around and see the baseball stadium and how they have the best and how beautiful that is, and Papa John's, we're just building one of the nicest soccer stadiums you could ever imagine going into. And then the Yum Center and the Yum practice facility. I mean, it's something that everybody understands. There's a total commitment from the administration and from Tom.
It seems like this is a fresh start, for Louisville and the ACC. This team from last year, fresh start for you. What would a good year be? At the end of the year, what would you say if we had a good year?
Well, never really mapped out on a schedule and said, if we win this many games, this is a good year. We have high expectations. We want to be champions. That's what we want to do. That's what our goal is to do. To do that, I believe you have to start by winning all your home games. So you have to play well at home and win all your home games, and that gives you an opportunity to find a way to be the champion. So we would like to find a way to get to Charlotte and play for that, ACC championship, and then you get a chance to be in the playoffs. So, we'll take it one game at a time and work on improving as the year goes on, and see how it plays out. But our expectations are to be champions.
Why was Todd Grantham the guy you wanted to bring in to run your defense?
Say that again.
Why was Todd Grantham the guy you wanted to come in to run your
Well, first and foremost, I got to compete against Todd and spend a lot of time in my preparation for what they did, and was very impressed. And then to watch him after we played him, how they got better and improved and finished really strong. Then I got to know him and visit with him and talk with him. I'm so excited that he's an expert at the X's and O's and the schemes of not only what we're going to do on defense, but what offenses do, all the different things we're going to see on offense. Todd understands and knows. But the thing that also is very intriguing with Todd is he knows how to get players to play at the highest level and excel and, have great years. So, and his relationship with players is very, very good. And so there's no question he was a guy that was on the top of my list. And then Tom Jury said, go get him.
Coach, you're the only guy who's been a head coach at the NFL and in college. Could you talk a little bit about the differences in those jobs and what you like and dislike about either one?
Yeah, I think when you look at college football and my beliefs in college football, it really is part of the education process. And it's a fun part of it is that we get to do things and help young men reach their goals or attain their dreams that they have. We get to teach them lessons that they're going to use when they're done playing football and they're raising their own kids. They can think back on, I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning today. I don't feel good. I've got 4 kids to feed. I know I still got to go to work and do a good job. That's why we get up early in the winter. You correlate lessons like that. The X's and O's of the game are pretty similar and the same. But the NFL is the entertainment business. You're coaching guys that have already attained some of their goals and some of their dreams, and it really is about entertainment.
Did you not figure that out until you actually got in the NFL and you went, this is different than I thought?
No, I had an idea about it, and to be honest with you, it's really fun being an assistant coach in the NFL. When I was with the Jaguars and you're in the meeting room with Mark Brunell, Jay Fiedler, Jamie Martin on a daily basis, and you just work all those things. It was really a lot of fun. It was something I enjoyed doing.
But what about the impact you had on the college players? Talking about the experiences and all that down the road. Is that something you didn't really grasp until you came back into the college?
No, I enjoy it a lot, and I think one of the most rewarding things right now for me is the players that you talk to throughout the year, the guys that give you a call or stop by the office, and you remember when things weren't going so well and you were hard on them, and now they understand it. They got a good job, they got a family, they're contributing to society, and that's one of the rewarding parts of being a college football coach.
Have you had some of your players from your first go around at Louisville start coming back into the
Oh, yeah,
fold?
we have a bunch of them, but particularly when I first got the job, they were all showing up, and then at our spring game, we had a whole group of guys come back, and it was really neat. We try to do that at our spring game, is invite all the ex-players back, so it was fun.
It's tough to be successful at either level. You've had a lot of success at the college level. Is there a reason? Or are there ways to be more successful in college than in the NFL?
Yeah, that's not really for me to say. I just, have had more success as a college coach and enjoy it.
Well, you thought you were going to coach Michael Vick with the Falcons. What did that offense look like, and have you ever been able to really use any of what you planned to use with him in college?
Yeah, that was 7 years ago. I don't really remember what it all looked like back there.
Yeah.
We're just where we are right now.
This program's
Devontae said yesterday, he talked about feed the studs and your philosophy or whatever. Do you still talk about that like you did the first time?
We do, yeah.
And how difficult is it when you have guys, like he said, he doesn't know how many balls he'll catch because he said you have a lot of studs.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I remember there was a time before when we had all these running backs, Michael Bush, Kobe Smith, Lionel Gates, Eric Shelton, and people would say, how are you going to keep them all happy? But really what it is they perform and you want to get them the ball more. And we have a good group of running backs, and we're always going to run the football. And they're the guys that take all the hits, so they have to be at 100% to be able to perform the way they want. So you need a good group of them. We like to get to Devontae the ball as much as you possibly can, and the really good thing about him is if he's one-on-one, I think he's going to win. That's the confidence I have in him. And if they're not going to play them one-on-one, they're going to roll the coverage or double them or find a way to try to take them away. And that's going to open up both the running game and the matchups on the other side. So he's a very, very good asset to have.
This program has been clicking, but now you're going into kind of a better league than it had been in. What's the sense for you in terms of what, are there certain keys there or a certain master plan in terms of to get to the, do you feel like now that you're in charge, you need to get this team, this program, you need to do X and X to get this team to a certain level now that it's in the ACC?
Well, I think the challenge that it presents right now is to be able to compete week in and week out and be able to win games, time after time after time. Even when I was in Conference USA and a couple times in the Big East, you step on the field in some games, maybe once, twice, 3 times a year, and you have better players than the guys you're going against. And if you just don't screw it up, you win the game. But those days are over with. Now it's, every team's going to have good players, every team's going to be real well coached, and now you need to find a way to win games in the fourth quarter.
Do you have relationships with any of the coaches in the ACC?
I know a lot of them. I've known a lot of them for a number of years, and it's a kind of a small fraternity of coaches, and so we've either coached against them or know friends that were on staffs with them, or have guys that worked for me before that are working for them now. So I know pretty much all the coaches.
Has anybody reached out to you though and said, "Hey, this conference, the officiating is a little bit like this," or this is the
coaches don't do that. Coaches don't do that stuff. You just worry about how you can find an advantage.
There you go.
Scheme-wise, from the first time you were here, how have you changed and sort of developed scheme-wise offensively since the last time Louisville fans remember the way a Bobby Petrino team?
Well, there's a lot of similarities, a lot of things we still do that are the same. We've added some new schemes, some new runs, some new passes, but it's all going to come down to what we feel the quarterback can do and how to use our weapons. Like, there was one quarterback I coached was not good in the huddle. He wasn't good calling plays in the huddle. He'd forget how to flip a tight end or send a guy in motion. So we went all no huddle, and he excelled and did really well. But if we would have kept working from the huddle, we probably wouldn't have had a very good year. So it always changes a little bit, but there's still going to be a lot of similarities to what we did before.
How are your caddying skills?
I'm not a real good caddy. I push the bag. I do a good job of that, and I try to listen and only speak if I'm asked a question. They do say there's 3 things you have to do as a caddy, and I do all 3 of those. I show up, I keep up, and I shut up.
You resisted trying to coach?
I've learned. There's sometimes when you'd like to say, hey, I think you ought to do this, or hey, I think you ought to do that. But to be honest with you, my daughter has outgrown my knowledge of golf, and I don't want to hurt her ability to make decisions and make shots. So I just try to only get the yardage right, make sure she knows what it is to the pin, what it is to the front of the green, how much room behind the pin, and once in a while I'll tell her, just make sure you pick the club, you swing it.
Finished caddying for the year?
I'm done for the year. Yeah, I think I got fired.
How many times did you do it?
I did it at the Kentucky Open. I did it for a practice round, and I did it for the Western, Women's Western, so 3 times.
Last year about this time, a lot of questions were about Michael Dyer and is he going to play in that? Now that he didn't do a whole lot last year, was injured, how big of a role can he play for you in your offense, and what have you seen with him?
Well, I'm hoping he can really help us. I'm hoping he can play a big role. And the first couple weeks in spring ball, he wasn't the Michael Dyer I knew. He didn't have the same quickness. He was making it through about half to 3/4 of practice, and then he started getting better. in the third week, he was showing some signs of that acceleration and signs of making plays out in the open. And then he had a great spring game. He was really quick. He was decisive and made plays catching the ball and running with it. So I'm hopeful that that's what we'll see. And, some of it's going to be about staying healthy. Our strength staff has really learned to like him a lot because he's been in there for extra work and is very committed and working hard. So if he can continue to do those things, we all know he's very talented.
Coach, if you guys could win the conference this first year in the ACC, what would it mean for the program as a building block?
I mean, we reached one of our goals, and that we, did what we set out to do.
In the chart we received, LJ Scott was listed second. He's a freshman. What'd you see to put him in that rotation? Where's he
I knew I should have put an or in there. I should have put or, and or.
Yeah.
I got to get better than that, because that's always one of the things that's hard on me is the preseason depth charts. But when we went into the spring game, it was Don Brown, LJ Scott, Michael Dyer. So I probably should have put oars in there after the spring game. But again, my feelings on running back is we're going to need them all. We're going to need them all. We're going to need to know how to utilize them. We have the ability to get them in the game by personnel groups that we can call out. So I can call out a certain personnel group and Dyer runs out there. Or I can call out a certain personnel group and LJ runs out there. We've spent some good time this summer in making sure we're on top of that and that everybody scripts it that way and knows what to do. So not really sure it's 1, 2, 3.
Lorenzo told us that Floyd moved to safety. What went into that move, and who's the corner that you liked enough to move him?
Well, he's been working at safety, and he's getting the ability where he could play either one. He's excited about it, and I think he could do real well there. He's a really good corner. It's hard to move him on the inside because he's so experienced and really good at corner. Our best experience on that for his position would be Andrew Johnson, who has played and made some plays and, is a guy with experience and knowledge that I think can step in there and play for us. But we also got some freshmen coming in that are going to have to contribute. They're going to have to help us in the secondary.
What did you get out of caddying?
What did I get out of it? A lot of fun watching my daughter, for one thing. And, it's enjoyable to do. I play with her a lot, and she beats me every time I play with her, so it's not like it's any pressure on her that I'm pushing her bag around. She gets to stay a little fresher, and when I say pushing it, in those tournaments they allow you to have a push cart, so keep my shoulders fresh.
Did you ever make a mistake on the yardage that she let you know about this year?
I don't think I made any mistakes on the yardage. I did a good job on that, but there might have been a couple times early when I wanted to, help her read the greens, and I figured early on that. Step back. If she asks, she asks. If not, she'll put it in the hole. So,
What did she get out of it? Having you kid?
I think she enjoys me walking around with her and someone to talk to, and I think that's one of the hardest things about golf is it's a complete individual game and only one person wins. So you got to be able to have a more relaxed attitude and enjoy it, and I think it helps her just relax a little bit and talk. And a lot of times when we're walking to the ball, I try to talk about something else. She seems to play better than that, and I watched her play in other events when you can't have a caddy. She seems to play better when the girl that plays with her talks a lot. So I tried to get out of my comfort zone and talk a lot.
Except for today.
Are you spending more time with her now? Is this a way for you to spend more time with
Yeah, but I always have. That was one of the fun things is living on a golf course is you could come home from work and go out and play 5 holes or 3 holes or sometimes 9 holes. It's always been fun. Becky plays, and she would go out with us and do that. And the boys used to play, until Katie started beating them all the time. And then they haven't played a lot lately.
Do you have a handicap?
No, I never turn in enough scores to get a handicap. So,
What do you shoot?
it depends. I think I'm mostly in the low 80s. I had one day this year where I shot 79 at Valhalla, which was my great day. Great day for me.
But how many gimmies in that?
I don't think we had any gimmies. I was playing with Chris Redmond, so there weren't any gimmies.
There you go.
Has there been, have players asked you about your last few years of experiences? Either what you've learned or what you've taken away from it?
Not a whole lot. Players don't really ask a lot of questions about that. There's times, and I'll bring it up in meetings and, talk about, mistakes I made and things that I've done that, you need to learn from. But, you don't get a lot of questions from the players about that.
When you were at Western Kentucky, was there anything that changed on the field for you schematically, or you were saying you've got some new things that you do now? I don't know, anything you did with your coaching style that you picked up or had to adjust to coaching?
I mean, at Western Kentucky, we had a great running back, and we had all freshman wide receivers. So we kind of ran the offense through the running back and then threw the ball off of that. And as the year went on, our passing game caught up to our running game. And one of the things about our offense is we are always going to run the ball. It's just whether you run the ball to set up the pass or you make them defend your formations because you throw the ball real well and it helps your run. So that's yet to be seen, how exactly we'll play it off of the run-pass.
What is the decision process for you trying to find Jake Smith's perfect spot?
How to get the best 5 guys together. When we started off spring ball, Jake being a center, coming back, we put him at center, and that put a guy that had just moved over from the defensive line, working with the ones at one of our guard positions, and he just wasn't ready for it. He wasn't ready for the get off and how the speed of the game was at that. He's really improved. I'm excited for his future. But he wasn't ready in spring, so it allowed us to operate better on offense if we moved Jake to guard and put Hughley in there at center. And he did a really nice job for us at center. Jake did a good job at guard. So Jake will work both guard and center, and we've got to find what's our best 5 combination. We're much better on the offensive line today than we were in spring ball. We've got guys back off of injury that didn't participate in spring ball. We've got Kelby Johnson, a transfer that came in. So we have more depth, and it'll be interesting to see how we play it out, who starts at center and who starts at guard.
What is this experience today for you been like? What were you expecting coming into it, and how's it going so far?
It's been longer than I remember. We hit probably, 26 radio things? So we hit 26 stops on the radio row, or whatever they call it, and then we had a few other things to do. But it's a long day. I can understand why when I got here yesterday, Lorenzo and Devontae said, "Coach, this is a long day."